Hey there, Pretty Plant Girl here. I love to be able to come down to my basement in this room with no windows and no proper lighting and pick some greens for supper or lunch, whatever I want. I just love that even though my garden is now covered in snow and it's well below freezing day and night, I still have fresh homegrown greens available to me anytime I want. And that's all thanks to my LetPot here that I introduced to you about 8 months ago, I think now. And I've been really happy with this machine. The only thing I don't like is it's kind of small. For my family of 4, providing enough greens over the winter with it, and also I'd like to have some herbs and things, I just don't have room for it in here. So I try to do some succession sowing and that with it, but I need more space. So when LetPot contacted me about this larger hydroponic grow setup, I certainly wanted to try it out. This system is supposed to have more pods, so more space for growing, and be self-watering. So I thought we would set it up together and check it out. So let's have a look. This system is the LPH MAX, and I already have it out of the box right behind me here. It didn't come with these seeds, but I have some set out here that I want to try in it. So here it is. So it's a little bit larger than the other one, but not a great deal. It's about the same width or length this direction here, and just slightly deeper in this direction here, and a little bit taller as well for the water reservoir area. Otherwise it functions somewhat similarly on the most basic level. Just like the other one, this one has everything that's included inside here. So let's take off this little tape. And now we can have a really good look at it. So other than the size difference, first off, right away I notice, if I can get that back down, is on the other LetPot that I have, the controls are all on the top. And you can see here, no controls at all. They're on the front of this one here. Don't think that really matters, just something I've noticed. The back also has a little bit cleaner design of where you plug things in. There's just one little spot here to plug the power cord into. The other one also has another wire coming, I think from the filter that comes out and comes and plugs in, or else it's from the light. I can't remember which thing that powers, but this one just has the power button, and then it has a little spot here that you can hook some tubing to go down to another vessel which is not included, and that will allow it to be filling automatically and dispersing the nutrients automatically for you. So if you go away, you can have this machine just keep up with all the water and nutrient needs without you needing to be there. So there's the top part. So this is where you'd put all your little cells. Another thing that's different is this little water filler area here. This one is kind of a rubbery silicone, and I find it a little bit more difficult to grip and grab onto. The other one's just plastic, and it's a deeper thing to pull and pop out. So that's just where you would fill water manually into this if you wanted. This is made that you can have it set up to automatically water. I think that's why they didn't worry about having as big a hole here or handle to be opening and closing this. So you shouldn't really need to access that a lot. It comes with your nutrients. So this is plant food A and B. There's your power cord. It has a Ziploc bag that contains some little kind of greenhouse domes that would go on top of the holes once it's planted up. All of these little holders, these sit inside the little holes in the lid. And you have a whole bag of sponges. So you would put your sponge down into there. It'll soak up the water, it'll get larger, so it'll, whoops. You can see right now, it's not really filling up this little container, but once it's soaked in some water, it will fill up this whole area and be a nice large area for the roots to develop and grow in. And then of course you have that little greenhouse cap to go on top. So all of that is the same things that I received with my original LetPot. This one also comes with this tubing. And so like I said, this LetPot, you can connect the tubing to that back area down in here. It connects in there, And then you can have the other end go down to whatever you've chosen to use to do the self-watering. I thought something like this would be a good idea. That way, if you have pets or children, less likely that they're going to be playing around in the water and getting into it. It's a nice little spot that the hose should be able to fit into and go down nicely. But whatever you have is fine. They just say to make sure that it's below the level of your LetPot. And then inside, it's a little bit different because there is this little area here, and this little compartment here is to fill with nutrients. So right now it just has a piece of foam in it for packing. You'll add your nutrients down in there all mixed up, and then it will automatically add those. So if you have this hooked up to automatic watering, it will also automatically add nutrients as needed. So that's handy. It's really just doing everything you need all at once. The only other thing down there is the filter, and this will circulate the water and filter it a little bit as well. And there is, I think it's monthly maintenance to be done with that when you're using it. So, and that's really easy. You just take it out, just swish the filter around and put it all back together. And that's all there is pretty much to it. I don't know if you'll be able to see in here, there is a float. So you see that little thing down there? That is supposed to float in here with the water level so that when you're doing the automatic watering, it will float up and tell the machine to stop adding water. I think to start, I'm just going to put this in manual mode. I'm going to use this for a while before this video actually comes out. So I'm going to start it in manual mode, which means I need to mix up my nutrients. These nutrients come dry and they'll last in these containers for 2 years without water added. They need to be used in like 6 months or a year or something, I think, once you add water. You're supposed to add pure water to mix these up. So you would just add the water in the amounts it says in the instructions. I didn't show you because I already had them out, but it also comes with instructions. So it has kind of a quick guide for the nutrients. And this helps you when you're adding nutrients manually. It'll show you exactly how much to add for how much water you're adding into your LetPot. And it does have, the other side tells you what is in each of these nutrient things as far as minerals and that for the plants. And then it has the actual instruction manual for using the machine and tells you everything that goes in it. It has a little troubleshooting guide, tells you all about the app. So you can download an app for this. I have not done that. I've been using my other one, just the old-fashioned way, I guess. But the app does allow you to keep track of the plants that you've planted. So you could have a look. You can put in whatever the seed is. You can enter that into the app. It'll tell you a little bit about that plant and growing information. It'll keep track of how long it's been growing and if you harvested or anything. It tells you the optimum growing temperatures and everything. And in the app, you can also do scheduling of the lights. It looks like you can schedule the pump. And you can choose the lighting. Now you can do all of that with the machine without using the app, other than the keeping track of the plants and that. You'd have to write it all down, obviously. Look it up online if you want more information, whereas the app will just, I believe, give you just information about, like if you plant spinach, it'll tell you about spinach and what it takes to grow it. There is a little bit of a guide in there for some of the plants, things you might want to grow and what temperatures they grow best at and how much lighting they want, and some tips for pruning if you're growing larger plants. So it does come with quite a bit of instructions. Of course, it tells you how to clean it and how to take care of the machine. The only thing I would say is this is a machine that comes not from North America, and the English is a little bit difficult to decipher in a few places, but nothing that you can't, think about and figure out on your own. Sometimes you just have to, you read this sentence and you're like, and then you just have to kind of read it again and think about it, and you'll figure it out. You'll know what it means. Let's see, what do they tell us to do first if we want to start it manually? Let's just do it by the book. I was just going to do it, but let's see what they say. So they tell you to get everything out. I've done that. They tell you to check that the LED light is plugged in securely. So you just push down on this bottom part here and it's not snapping or clicking in. So it's in there securely. All the cords and everything are there. I've already taken out all the packing materials. So then it says to plug it in. So let me get the cord. So like I showed you before, there's just this little spot at the back that's recessed a little bit to plug that in. And then you just need a power. There. It said it would beep, which it did. So it says, It will make a beep sound when you charge unit the first time. Click any button on the screen can turn off the sound. Well, it just made one beep sound. I don't think it's actually charging because it's not like a cordless operation. So I think we're good to go. Nothing actually turned on here, but we'll leave that for now because we don't need anything on right now. So now we need to get our nutrients mixed. So to mix the nutrients, you need 100 milliliters of water. I'll try and do the conversion on the screen for you. It says 100 mils. It says of pure water. I use distilled, that's what this is here. And then you just take your little thing here. They come, when you first get them, there's like, it's a little squirty spout, but there's a little paper covering on it, I guess to make sure you didn't lose any nutrients in shipping. So that will need to be removed. But first leave that on so that you can shake this really well and not spray nutrients everywhere. So there's my 100 mils. And you just shake it up really well, and then I'll just do the same thing for, this one's plant food B, so I'll do the same thing for plant food A, and then the nutrients will be ready to add and we can move on to the next step of setting up the machine. That's what it, I don't know if you can see the little, there's little tablets in there. There's lots of the nutrients, that's how it comes, and then we're just mixing it with the water to dissolve those little tablets and get some liquid nutrients. So this is the same size nutrient bottles that came with the smaller LetPot, and I just emptied those, and I haven't used it straight through all summer, but I have used it for probably about 4 to 5 months in total, and I haven't had to refill it a lot. So I just used up the nutrients, and when I was looking through the instructions just now, it said that the nutrients, once you mix them with water, are good for about 5 months. So that's pretty much perfect usage, I would say. They have that figured out of how much this needs. And that is a drawback of a system like this. Any of these systems, you will need to purchase these nutrients and more of these sponges. Some systems you have to order them with the seeds and everything. This one you can at least use your own seeds and pick what you want to grow that way. You probably have a better variety, I think, with the LetPot, where you can pick your own seeds and you're just buying the sponges and the nutrients to replace. We'll let that sit for a minute. I've shook it pretty well, and it still sounds like there's a little bit of a solid in there. So we'll just leave it for a minute and move on to the next step. The next step is adding those liquids. Add 25 milliliters of A and B nutrients separately to a jug that contains 5 liters. And add the mixture to your tank. Good enough. There's these little seals in here, so I recall they were kind of difficult to get off last time, so let me see if I try and poke through from the spout end. Yeah, then I can just push it out. So that's probably the best way to do that. Let's try it with this one and see if it works that well. This is just a skewer. Yeah, so that got it, so I could get my fingernail in there and pull that little seal out. The beauty of these is, and I don't know how well it's going to pick up there for you, is there's measuring lines on these caps. They're just in milliliters, but that's how the instructions come anyways. Now we're supposed to have 25 milliliters to 5 liters of water. I don't have 5 liters all in one jug here, but I just, and this is how I do it every time, is I just add my 25 mils to my 2-liter jug, mix that, put it in here, and then I add the next 3 liters, and that gets it filled. And I find it doesn't, my other one actually didn't need the full 5 liters, so we'll see if this one does. So measure out, these caps hold 15. So I'll maybe add 15, and this is 2 liters of water here, so 15, and 15. Pour this in. So there's 2 more liters, so I did 15 mils of this. I'm going to do 10 to get our 25. There's 10. These lids screw on, so you don't have to worry about them spilling anywhere. So as I'm pouring this, that'll all get really well mixed together. And we'll do 1 more liter. Hopefully you can have a good look there where the water level is. So I'd say it's 1/2 to 2/3 full. So now our next step is just to set this on and put all these little tray holder things in. What do they call them? Baskets. Baskets, that's what they call them. And there's 21 spots. That must be, when it said when it beeps when it's charging, that must have been what the beep was meant. It says the water level is low. And I just remembered it did say to check and make sure that float was working, but I thought that didn't seem like very much water either. So let's have a little look and see. Yeah, the float worked. The float rose up like it's supposed to. So it looks like I do need to add more water in there. I'm sure it said 5 liters, which was the same as the other one, so I was surprised. Yeah, it says 5 liters. You could add more in there, but I wanted to see the lights. You can adjust the lights. It has different colors of LEDs, so you can adjust the lights for if you're growing flowers or vegetables. We'll leave them all on because I'm gonna have like vegetables and herbs in here. So I've put all the little baskets in. This one has a sponge in. I'll just let it soak for a minute so you can see how much they grow in comparison to these when I put these in. While we're waiting for this sponge to soak up and get a little bit larger, I've just been playing with the control panel here, and so like I have to say already I like this design better than the other one because I can very easily pick the lighting modes and on-off times and things. With the other LetPot right there, where it only has I think 4 buttons on the top. I have to just turn it on when I want it to start, and then in the automatic, without using the app, it just automatically stays on for a set amount of time. I think it's 16 hours and then turns off. And I have to push a bunch of times to cycle through the lights in that. Whereas this one, there, I think that gives you a look at the screen. I could just go through the settings button here and see, I could set the clock. So I've set it, it's 3:04 p.m. right now. So it was the hours, that was the minutes. So when I would just use the buttons on either side with up and down arrows to change that. And then it cycles through and you hit it again. This is germination days. So I guess if I had already germinated some seeds and put them in here and I wanted to add, growing days, I could add on a few days if I needed. Otherwise, this number is just going to go up every day by 1 to show me how many days I've been growing since I turned it on. And then, oops, took too long. So here were the growing days. And then it goes down here. And this is what time I want it to turn on. So you can see I have it set to turn on 6 a.m. It uses a 24-hour clock, so 6. And then I could go and change. Oh, I took too long again. Time's out pretty quick. So then I could go to the minutes would flash. I could use the up and down arrows to adjust the minutes. And then this is the time it turns off. And I have it set to, I believe that's 10 o'clock, yeah. And I didn't change the minutes. I just left it at 0 minutes. And then it'll turn off here. And it shows me that it's 21 degrees Celsius in here right now. I have the lighting set for veggie and herb. Now again, I could go through and I think it's this button here, yeah. So you see how the lights change for flower and fruit. And I can do that with my other smaller LetPot as well. I can push a button and get it to change for the lighting. And this lighting also, I'd have to look again, but there's a way to get it to increase and decrease in brightness. So let's see. There. So you see I could turn the lighting down if I felt like it was too intense. Like some plants are a little more sensitive to how much light they want. So that's at the brightest right there. So that's what I wanted at. This button, what did it do? I think this has to do, I use this button if I want to turn on the automatic watering. I hard press it and it'll give me some information for that. I don't want to turn that on right now This one, I can change the temperature display to Fahrenheit, or if I want it in Celsius, because I'm Canadian, so I do, I can press this button over here to put it in Celsius. This little indicator here is showing me how much nutrients would be in. If I have it in the pumping mode to automatically add water, then remember there was that little nutrient chamber in the back, and this would indicate how many nutrients are in there. I don't think it's really showing me anything right now because I'm not in that mode to do that. Right now it tells me the pump is operating, and I believe it'll cycle on and off. My other one in kind of this auto mode cycles on and off. If not, there is a button on here, and I can't remember which one off the top of my head, but one of these buttons I can use to turn off the pump if it was too loud, which I don't know if you can hear it. I'll put my mic right beside it. But so this, I don't know why you would need to turn the pump off, because it really doesn't make a lot of noise. But let's have a look now at this little sponge thing. So there's the one I've had soaking. Grab another one out and set it in a thing so you can just see the difference. And hopefully you'll be able to tell there the difference in the height of them. And I don't know how much it shows up on camera for you. Oh, I grabbed a little bit of a twisted basket here. But it fills the sides of the basket. This one doesn't wiggle around quite as much as this one does. Yeah, they do expand, they do get larger once you let them sit for a little bit. So I'm just gonna go and fill in the rest of these. I already put one back there. So like I said before, with these sponges, you do need to replace them. I don't think you'd be able to grow, once the roots fill them out, I wouldn't want to try and grow in them again. Just purchase new sponges, so that is something that you'll need to renew when you replant this. Over here, this is, oh, I can't even get it out, but you can see all the roots on there. It's just filled inside, but it's moving all the other pots, so I can't get it out. But that's a lettuce that I had growing. It's starting to sprout again in my other ones. So the roots get pretty intense in these. So now I'm just gonna let those all soak in, and then it's really easy to plant them. So I'll show you with this one here, and then I will just do the rest. So one of the things that I've been missing now that the cold has arrived is having fresh basil around. So I am going to plant some basil up in this LetPot here. So I have my 3 seeds. The instructions recommend 2 to 3 seeds per LetPot or per basket. So you can do this with it right in the machine, but I thought it might be easier to see, maybe, I don't know. So I'm just gonna, there's a little dimple in the bottom, in the top of the sponge. So you just try and get the little seeds down into that dimple. And once they're in there, you just take one of these little caps, just like a little greenhouse, put it on there. Now, I find I'm forgetful, so I've made a little chart, and I will write basil right there, and that corresponds to that little section in here, and then I'll know what I've planted in there, and that's how I keep track of it. Now, if you use the app, then you would have that information in the app, and you wouldn't need to do that. But with the app, I don't think there's a space to tell you which little basket you put your seeds for each plant in. I think it just tells you when you planted it. So this little chart might still be helpful for those of you like me that want to know, even when they're tiny seedlings, what exactly it is. Or if you have several different kinds of lettuce, you might forget which variety you put in each of these cells. They can look pretty similar. So I am going to plant some basil, some oregano, sage, and thyme kind of in this kind of back row. One thing I have noticed with this LetPot is these are spaced a lot closer together. So it'll be interesting. I tend to have my plants getting a little bit crowded in that one. So we'll see. They do recommend doing a cut and come again kind of planting for these cells. And maybe if I did that a little more diligently, then I wouldn't have so much crowding. but they are closer together. So I'm going to plant them all up because I want to see how things grow together in spacing like this. Now, maybe that would be a better spacing when you're using this, because you could use this to start seedlings and then put them out for outside or plant them into larger pots. And maybe this would be the ideal spacing for that. Maybe if I want to be growing kind of a garden of lettuces and herbs and things, maybe I'm going to want to use just every other space. But for trial purposes right now, I'm going to plant them all up. So I don't have to wait for them to soak up the water. They will do that pretty quickly. I just wanted to show you the difference in one that has soaked a little and one that hasn't. And that's why I waited a little bit, but you can just plant them right away. So I'm going to put those caps on. Write down what I put in there, and I'm just going to continue planting. I have not had good success with growing spinach in these systems. So I have some Bloomsdale long-standing spinach I'm going to put in there. And I'm also going to try some Escalade spinach. So we'll see if anything changes here. So this is the Escalade spinach. It can be easy to have these doubled up. So if you think you're missing caps, probably not. You just have them doubled up somewhere. There we go. Okay, so that should be all the caps I need. So you can grow the dwarf varieties of tomatoes and peppers and things. I haven't tried them in any of these machines. You'll just need to do extra pruning. I should fill this up the rest of the way. That's what I should do. So it says the water level, now it's registering, it's come up a little bit. So it must have just taken a bit of time to kind of calibrate and register all of that. I do have a couple of liters mixed with nutrients from my other machine, so I'm just going to top up a little bit more water and see if that changes anything. I'm curious at what point it says it's full. My other one fills like right pretty much to the top edge, and this has a max line inside here that I have not hit yet. So 7 liters is about what it took to get to the max line. Maybe 6.5. I might have overfilled it a little here, but there is a max line in there. So let's see now what it says, if that changes. It still looks like it's about medium on the indicator there. So you can grow, I've planted this with like herbs, lettuce, bok choy, kale. You can use this to grow anything you want really, according to the book. You would just need some sort of trellising or somewhere for the plants to grow if they're vining plants or flowering plants. You just need to make sure they have the room and the space, and if they need support systems. The LetPot that I first started trying came with some little plastic rods, and there's little holes in the side here, so you can stick those in and it will offer support. You can see there I just have bamboo skewers put in, but that works just as well. Just some skewers stuck in these little holes will support things, larger things like larger lettuces or kale, something like that. If you're looking, like I said, to grow something a little bit viney, more vining or heavier like a tomato or a pepper, you might need something a little bit more for holding, you know, maybe some sticks in and run some string around them or something. But it does work to hold the plants up, and if you're growing larger plants like that, you're going to want to do some pruning, and the book does explain the pruning that you would do. For now, I'm just happy to have some lettuces and kales and, you know, good greens to grow. So like I said, I'm going to just keep growing these and trying it out. This needs to go down. To the lowest level while they're germinating, and then I'll keep you updated. Once the plants get up to the top of the little dome, then you'll need to remove that little dome and just let the plants grow freely. But we'll come back and revisit this. It's been 3 weeks since I started using this LetPot HP MAX, and you're probably wondering what I'm thinking about it. So the front row, as you can see, has lots of things growing on it, lots of great plants. I have some 2 pak choi, I have a butter crunch lettuce in behind there, I have a kale over here, I think that's Red Russian, and I think this is a green, yeah, dark green, dwarf green curled kale right over here. The middle 2 rows have produced almost nothing, so I'm not sure if that's the seed. What did I plant in there? Lots of lettuces and some spinach, which I just have not done well with getting spinach growing in these Let pots. But the back row, I have basil and sage and oregano. My thyme isn't up yet, so I have 9 of the 21 pods germinated. It seems very odd to me that the center rows wouldn't have germinated. There doesn't appear to be anything happening in them, no roots coming out the bottoms. Like the pods, the sponges are damp. There's nothing growing in them at all. Here's the things I like about this. I like that you can grow a lot of food in a small space. I love this display on here. I like that you can raise this light thing so high and it's easy to move up and down. This is super fast to set up. Easy to use that way. This display, it gives me lots of information. It gives me the growing days. It has the time. It gives me the water temperature, which actually could be part of the problem of some of those lettuce seeds and spinach seeds, to be honest, is because the water temperature is staying quite warm. And I'm down in my basement. It's not warm down here, but I think with this light, when it was down so close, it was heating everything up, because there is some decent heat that comes off of these lights. Even though they're LED, you still get heat coming off of them. I like that you can easily adjust the lighting levels, and maybe that's something I need to do, is just turn down the lights a little bit. So I might experiment with reseating this, turning the light temperature down a little bit, so maybe there's less heat coming off of here, and maybe that would allow those lettuces that are in the back to germinate, because it does seem like most of what's germinating is things that enjoy a warmer temperature, and the things that aren't are cool temperature crops. So I'm going to guess that is the issue there. I like that it has this really easy display for the water level, and so far it seems to be working well. I've been looking inside and having a peek in the little reservoir, and it seems like the water level is accurate. I do have this side raised up on cardboard, but because my table was sloping and then my water indicator wasn't that accurate, but getting that leveled has helped with that immensely. It's quiet, super, super quiet. Even when the pump is running, like I have to really pay attention to go, like, is the pump running? I'm not sure. And then I can tell it is running, but you have to really pay attention to that. I have not used the automatic watering feature yet. I had planned to set that up partway through this. I just wanted to get it going, see how it ran and everything. But I wasn't thinking about that you kind of need to flip this machine over to get the hoses hooked in properly. So when it's time to clean this out and get it reset, I will hook that up and test it out, and I'll have to report back to you on that probably in a month, month and a half, how that is working. I do like that you get a lot of information here, and it's really easy to adjust all of these settings and everything right on the screen here. But it doesn't stay on all the time. It goes blank, as you saw. It times out, stays blank, and I can, you know, not have to be having that on. If you had it, you know, up in your kitchen or living space or whatever, it wouldn't be on all the time shining that light. I mean, of course you're gonna have these lights, but they're facing right down, and this just goes dark, but you can easily just access it when you want. The things that I don't really like, this little water reservoir thing, like I said, it's difficult to get off. I mean, I'm getting better at it, but it's not as nice as the one on the smaller LetPot. That one's really easy to get in there, have a look. You can just kind of dump a whole jug of water in easily, whereas this you need to be a little more accurate. And that's a really fussy thing, but I do think it's something to note. I would like a little more space, even if this was just slightly larger. I think more space between the plants would be a good idea, because you can see these pak choi aren't really huge yet, but they are crowding out the lettuce beside them. So that's something, you know, these plants, if you had 21 mature plants in here, they're going to be very tightly packed. You're probably going to wind up with either poor growth or disease or something that's going to be a problem there. Otherwise, I'm really happy with this. I would suggest that they sell some sort of a cover or provide even a cover that's not the clear cover. So if you want to have some of these pods empty, or if you have seeds that want to be germinated in the dark, that you had something that easily just clipped on and fit on. Now what I do is just take plant tags when I'm doing that, and I just set them over the holes and just cover the holes up that way. Obviously the domes aren't on, and that covers them up. But it would be nice to have something that's just nice and neat and fits in here very easily. Otherwise, I'm really happy with this system. It has been holding the water well, it's circulating the water, it's doing all the things. The plants are growing well. I do think that probably the reason that some of the plants in the center aren't growing is they are cool crops. That probably just the water is too hot. And I do know, I was on the LetPot site, and they did say when you have trouble growing your spinach, that can be why, because spinach likes cooler temperatures. They say sometimes you need to germinate them off the LetPot and then transplant them into it. And I've never tried that yet, but just to get them germinated. So that might be something to look at. But that's my thoughts on the LetPot HP Max. I will leave links down in the description down below if you want to check one out for yourself. If you know someone that likes to do indoor gardening, this might be a great gift idea for them. LetPot gave me a coupon code when I did their original LetPot, and I'm not sure if it's still active, but I'll put it in there. You can give it a try, see if that works, and check it out for yourself if you're interested. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.